What's going on, guys? So it's been a while since I did any kind of project or tutorial, and I wanted to start out here with something rather simple. I found this Tailwind Starter Kit from CreativeTim.com, which is absolutely free. Really cool resource. CreativeTim.com actually has a bunch of resources. But this is pretty much like a starting point or a boilerplate template for building websites. And there's an HTML version, there's a React, Angular, and Vue starter kit as well, if you want to, use it for those frameworks. But basically what I want to do is use this starter kit or this starter theme. So we want to download it. You can download it right here. And what we're going to create is this gym website. So I called it the Power Room. And basically we just have this large hero image, and if I reload, you'll see this fades in. We're going to implement the JavaScript animate on scroll library. If I scroll down here, you'll see that these will start coming in from the side. This area here, we have our trainers that have kind of a flip effect. We have our contact form that comes in diagonally, and then we have our footer. All right, so we're going to start out with the starter kit, and then we're going to basically turn it into this. So we're not starting from scratch. We're going to mess with the Tailwind classes, take a look at those. Tailwind is different from like Bootstrap and Materialize because it's all very low-level utility classes that pretty much do one thing per class. Like if you want to set it to position absolute, you can just use the class absolute, stuff like that. So now that we have this downloaded, let's open this. And another reason I wanted to do this is because it's something that you would do as like a freelancer. Tools like this, like starter kits, these are invaluable when you're doing freelancing because you need to get projects up and out quickly rather than reinventing the wheel. So if this will do for your project using the starter kit, it's going to save you a ton of time. So we have dashboard, landing page, login, and profile. There's different pages. We're going to use the landing page. And as you can see, like I said, there's React, Vue, Angular. We're just going to grab the HTML version. Maybe I'll do another video where we use it with React or Vue. But I'm going to create a new folder on my desktop. And let's call this Power Room website. And I'm just going to go ahead and bring landing and assets into this folder. And assets is just, it's some images that we're not even going to use. We're not going to use these images. And then vendor has font awesome in it. So let's open this up with VS Code. And if we open up, I'm going to rename this. Nope, don't want to delete it. I want to rename this to index instead of landing. And we'll open that up, and you can see on the side here just how long this is. This is another reason I didn't want to do it from scratch. So I'm going to open this with VS Code's live server, which is an extension that I have installed. But of course, you could just open it up on your file system. And this is what it looks like. So this is the starter kit or the starter template. You have this large area, these three boxes here, little menu at the top. It is responsive as well. So we go small, you'll see that. I mean, it's not really fancy, but it is responsive. Down here we have this section here. They're using SVG and Polygon for this slant right here. These right here, which are like the employees or whatever, and then this area with the icons in the form, and then the footer down here. So we're going to start with this, and we're going to end up with this and add a little animation. All right, so I'm going to jump back into VS Code, and let's start. We'll just go from the top down. We want to start changing the title here, so we'll say the Power Room. And if you take a look at these classes, and there's a ton of them, when you're using Tailwind, it's not just this starter kit. It's whenever you use Tailwind, you're going to have a lot of HTML because you're going to have a lot of classes. And what that saves you from doing is having to write any CSS. I mean, you might write some custom CSS here and there, but you have a class for pretty much everything. And they're very low level. You don't have like an alert class or a button class that implements a whole bunch of CSS properties. You have like absolute to position absolute, top 0 to set the top to 0, px2 for padding on the x-axis for left and right, py for padding on the top and bottom. font bold, text small, and you can be small, MD for medium, LG large, and XL for extra large. And then certain spots you might see like this right here, LG colon, and then some class. This just means that this only pertains to large screens. Okay, so it's not going to be in effect if it's not, if it's lower than a large screen. So, and we'll learn more about these classes as we move along, but let's start changing this up a little bit. So the first thing I want to do is let's actually just kind of label where everything is, because I know there's a lot here. So the navbar starts here, so I'll just go ahead and say navbar. And there's a few things I want to do here. First of all, this title here, let's change this to the power room. And it has a text SM, text small, as the default here. I'm going to change it to text LG to make it a little bigger. So now if we check that out, you can see that the text is bigger. Another thing I want to do is get rid of docs and download, and I want to make these icons orange. I also want to get rid of the GitHub because that really doesn't make sense for a gym, so we'll do like LinkedIn or something like that. So let's go down where we have, let's see, so the docs right here, this is the docs, and it's just one LI and a UL. So we're going to get rid of this whole UL right here. Okay, get rid of that. And then this UL is going to be the social media icons as well as the download button. So here's the first social media, the second, and then the third, and then we have the download button, which is in this LI. So I'm going to get rid of this entire LI here. All right, and then for the icons, let's see, and we can just kind of label these. So this is icon 1, icon 2, icon 3, and you can save this for future projects if you want to create some other type of website using this starter kit. So the actual icon is the I tag right here. So FA Facebook or FAB, FA Facebook is the font awesome class. I'm going to get rid of these text grays. And what this means is on large screens, it'll be text gray 300, which is going to be a little lighter. On small screens, or I'm sorry, on anything less than large, it'll be text gray 500. But I want to change this to be orange all the time. So I'm going to set this to text orange, and we'll do 500. So basically you have 100 through 500 for different shades of that color. So we're going to add that, and let's do it on icon 2. So we're going to get rid of, not on the link. We want to put it right on the button here. So get rid of this. Oops. Paste that in there. And then this one here. And I'm actually going to change this to FA-LinkedIn. Whoops. Okay, and then instead of star right here, we'll just say like profile. So if we save that, we take a look. Now we have our orange icons, and that's pretty much all we need in the header here. Next thing I want to work on is the big showcase or hero area. So if we go under the nav, we have this main tag, which then wraps around everything. So we can put a comment here, and this is the main area. And this is where the hero starts. So we'll say hero. So this is position relative. We have padding top, padding bottom. Everything centered. So the style here has the min height set to 75 viewport heights. So basically, if you think of 100 slices across, this is taking up 75. I actually want to make it bigger, so I'm going to actually set it to 95, just a little bit above where it cuts off, like that. So if we take a look, now you can see this is much lower. And then for the overlay here, that's coming from this span. So you have the background image right here. You can change that. We're going to change that. And then you have this span, which is the overlay. So opacity 75, so it's set to 75%. If I set that to like opacity 50, you can see that now the overlay is not as dark. So you can control that pretty easily. You can change the color. We're going to leave it at BG black though. For the image, I'm going to swap that out. I actually have all my images that I'm just going to paste in, and they're all from Unsplash. So you can get these in the description. I'll have all the code, and you can just grab the images from there, or I might even put all the images in the description. So right now, the image, we just see the man's ass, and we don't want that. So we want to position this differently. And if you look right here, there's this BG center class. So this is basically just, you know, centering the background image. I want to set this to BG top, so we're not just staring at his ass. So now you can see this looks much better. This part in here, we want to change this up. We also want to add a little download brochure button. Maybe there's a gym brochure, PDF or something you can download. So if we go down here, you see this right here. Your story starts with us. We want to change that. So we're going to change that to feel the power, and then I want power to have. I want that to be orange. So I'm going to put a span here, and let's add the class of, let's say, text-orange 500. And we want to put power, just the word power in there. And if we save that, now we have that orange. And then for the text, I just have some text that I'm going to paste in here real quick. So just put welcome to the Power Room. We are a fitness and training center that whatever, and then download your brochure to get started today. So now what I want to do is add a button here. And if you want any, if you want to check out the Tailwind docs, I'll just say Tailwind CSS, and you can search for anything. So if I search for a button, and I want an outline styled button like this, and you can basically just grab this if you want. Actually, I want to grab the classes because this is a link, but we can use the same classes. So we'll just go ahead and say href, and this will just go nowhere, but normally it would be some kind of PDF, because we're going to say download brochure, and then we'll add those classes in. Okay, so let's take a look at these classes. BG transparent, it's a transparent button. On hover, I want the background to be orange 500, and the text here, let's say text orange dash 500. Font semi-bold, that's good. Hover text white, that's good. For padding, I want it to be a little bigger, so I'm going to use P-4, which is just padding all over. And let's see, we have border blue. We don't want to use blue, we want to use orange. And hover border transparent, that's good. Rounded, that's good. Let's also make this because if I save it right now and we take a look, you can see it's kind of like over this text. We want to display it as a block so that it gets pushed down, and so we can add some margin to the top. So actually we want to display it as an inline block. And then we'll add MT, so margin top 5. Let's also add a cursor pointer to it. So now if we take a look, that's good. That's what we want. All right, now this down here, so these 3 boxes and this section here are all in the same section, and I just want to completely get rid of them. Of course, you can keep them and change them up if you want, but right under the hero here, let's see. So we have section, and then these are going to be the 3 boxes. You can see award agency, free revisions, and verified company. And then we have that part where it says working with us is a pleasure right here. I want to get rid of all this. So that's this whole section. So I want to grab from this section all the way up to where it starts, which is right here, and I'm just going to completely get rid of that. So if we save that and we take a look, now it goes right to this section here. Now as far as this right here, this slant goes, that's coming from, so we have a div with and inside the div is an SVG with a polygon, and this div is what's giving it that slant. Now we also have another div here with an SVG in it because this was adding the slant for the next section, but we don't need this. So this div ends here. I'm going to just completely get rid of that. Okay, and if we take a look, we still have the slant here from this one. But what I want, and notice the different color here. So I want this to be black. I also want this to be black. So for this is going to be the section right here. So we'll say BG black, and let's add text white. So it makes this black, but this still isn't. And the reason for that is because this polygon element right here has this class of fill current. We also don't need this text gray, so I'm going to get rid of the whole class itself in this polygon. And now if we go back, you can see that this reaches up now, and this is black, and we also still have that slant going on. All right, now for this section here, we have quite a bit to do. So let's swap out the image first, and I'm just going to put a comment here saying that this is, we'll call this the about section. And you might even want to give this, maybe give this an ID of about, just to kind of identify it. Let me grab the image for this. And all of these images come from Unsplash. Of course, you can download them locally if you want. But we'll paste that in there, and yeah, so we get that image over here. We want to change this up quite a bit, so let's see where that is. So it says a growing company. I'm going to change this to safe bodybuilding, and then I want to have a small tag above it that says about our gym, like that. And then this safe bodybuilding heading, I'm going to change that to text 4XL, make it a little bigger. And I also want it to be uppercase, so we can just simply add the uppercase class here. So if we save that, get safe bodybuilding. I don't want this big pink icon. So that is this icon here, which is wrapped in this div. So this div with the icon, let's completely get rid of that. And we'll take a look. Good. The small tag, I want this to be the same orange that we've been using. So that's kind of the color theme for this, is black and orange. So let's change, or add to small, let's add a class of text orange 500. All right, and then this text here, I don't want it to be gray. I want it to abide by the text white that we put right here. So let's get rid of this class. Okay, we don't want that. And let's also make, instead of semi-bold for the safe bodybuilding, we'll do font bold. Okay, now we have the icons, or the UL with the LI with the icons. So let's see, I want to change, obviously change the icon. I don't want to use this fingerprint. I'm going to use the FA-dumbbell icon here, and I want to make it a little bigger, so I'm going to use FA-2X, which is a Font Awesome class, to make this a little bigger. And then also, I don't want it pink, so we're going to get rid of this BG pink and text pink. I'm not going to have it rounded either, so we can get rid of this. We don't need uppercase. We can get rid of all these classes. And then let's see, PX, we can get rid of that. Let's do PY3, so that's just padding on the top and bottom. Inline block, that's fine. Text excess, I don't want it to be small, so I'm going to get rid of that. And then down here, I want the text to be a little bigger. I also don't want it gray, so I'm going to change that to text XL, or extra large. And let's change this to the latest and greatest gym equipment. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, so the icon isn't showing up, and I think I know why, because this, wait, yeah, we have double FAs. All right, so let's also make the icon orange. Let's add, we'll add it to the span here around it. We'll say text orange 500. All right, so that looks good. Now let's do the other two. So I'm going to just copy, so we have each one in a list item. I'm going to copy this whole list item here with PY2, And let's replace this one and this one. So that's 1, 2. And the second one, so this is the second one. Let's change this to, we'll say 5-inch quality foam floor padding. And the icon here, I'm going to change from dumbbell to hard hat, so hard dash hat. And then the last one here, we'll change this to, let's say, 3 professional trainers. And I'm going to use FA users here. All right, so let's save that. Okay, so that looks pretty good. It should match this one. Good. And I'm not going to add the animation until the end. Now the next section we have is going to be our trainers. Right now we have these heroes and we have 4 columns. I want to change it to 3, so I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's go down to the next section and let's put a comment here, and this is section, wait, what did I call this one? Oh, I just said about section, so this will be trainer section. Now this is the heading part of the trainer section, so we're going to we're going to change this to meet our trainers, and I want this to be uppercase, so I'm just going to add the class of uppercase. And then this text I don't want to be gray, so we can get rid of that, text gray 600. And then I'm just going to grab the text that I want to put here. Okay, paste that in. Now this, let's actually mark this. So this is the trainer card wrapper, and then each card is going to be this right here, where we see this W full, and then the 6 out of 12 columns on medium, 3 out of 12 on large. So basically you'll have 2 columns on medium screens and you'll have 4 columns on large, because taking up 3 out of the 12 is going to give you 4, taking up 6 out of the 12 is going to give you 2. And just to show you that, so we have 4 columns, each one takes up 3 out of 12 on large. When we get to medium, it goes to 2 columns because it takes up 6 out of the 12. Now what we're going to do is take one of these out, because we only have 3 trainers, so we need to change those fractions up a little bit. But let's first mark where these are. So we know that this is card 1, this W full, and then that. So this ends here, right? So then let's make another comment. We'll say card 2, and this ends here. So here we'll say card 3. This ends here, and I want to get rid of the last one. So this last one ends right here. I'm just going to grab that whole div and completely get rid of it. So if I save this, you can see we only have 3 now, but they're not centered because there's still 3 out of the 4, which gives us 4 columns. Just the last one isn't there. So to change that, let's go up to card 1, and instead of 6 out of 12 for medium, I'm going to use 4 out of 12, which is actually 3 columns, and I want that to be on medium screens and up, so we'll get rid of the large. All right, and then let's see, for this large we'll do MB0, MB12, we'll just leave that for now. But let's go to the second card and let's do the same thing. We'll get rid of this, and this is going to be 4 out of 12. This one will be 4 out of 12. So let's go ahead and save that, and now that looks much better. So let's work within each of these. I want a different image. I want it bigger. I want to get rid of these icons, change the names. So back up to card 1. Right now it's taking the image from the assets folder. I'm just going to grab an image from Unsplash and put that in for the source for the image. So max width right now is 120. That's kind of small. I'm going to change that to 250. Let's also change Let's see. So rounded full gives you like a circle image. I just want rounded corners, so that's going to be just the rounded class like that. All right, and then let's just take a look at that. Good, so that's what I want. And we're going to change this trainer's name. He's going to be Mr. Rogers. And down here we just have like kind of a slogan. So he's going to be the neighborhood watchman. And let's get rid of actually we can keep the text gray, that'll be fine. So let's see, these are all his icons. These are wrapped in this div here, so I'm going to get rid of that entire div. All right, let's take a look at Mr. Rogers. Okay, pretty buff looking. All right, so the next one is right here, Romania Hadid. So this is going to be strawberry shortcake. And strawberry shortcake is a known cupcake smasher. And we want to change that image, so let me just grab that. And let's paste that in here. And again, we want to get rid of rounded full, just make it rounded, and the width will be 250. All right, so let's take a look at strawberry shortcake. Good. We don't want these icons though, so again, right here, this MT6 div with the icons, I'm going to get rid of, whoops, I'm going to get rid of that. Here, let's get rid of that. Okay, so we have one more card here. Let me grab the image. Paste that in. Let's change this to 250. Rounded. And this is going to be Ronald McDonald. And Ronald McDonald, we'll say double whoop ass with cheese. And then we'll get rid of his icons. Get rid of that. Okay, so that section should be done. Let's take a look. Good. So we changed the columns, and obviously we changed the style of the cards, you know, the elements inside. So I think that's good. Next we have the contact form. Now this, I believe, is broken up into two sections. You have this one and then the one with the form. So let's take a look. So this is going to be the contact header section. And I want to change, let's see, we don't want gray, we want BG black and text white. And then let's see, we have our SVG here. Once again, I'm going to get rid of this class. We'll say contact us. And then I'm going to just grab the text for this part. And let's get rid of the text gray. We don't need that. Okay, and then we'll save that and let's take a look. Okay, I don't want these icons here, so we want to get rid of those. So I believe that's going to be this. Let's see. Yeah, so that wraps excellent services, grow your market. Yeah, so I'm going to get rid of that whole div. Actually, where was that? It's this. I'm just going to mark it with a breakpoint. And then we can get rid of that. All right. So let's save, take a look. Good. Now this part here, obviously we want the background to be black. So this is the next section. So we can mark this as the contact form. And let's see, it's BG black. And I'm just going to leave the text like want to work with us, stuff like that. One thing I do want to do, contact us as a heading, or a header, so I want to add uppercase to that. So let's see what that looks like. Good. And then I want to make the font, the form that orange color. Let's add it to we have this want to work with us. This div is the whole wrapper for the form. So here, let's add bg-orange 500 and text white. Now this text here has classes directly on them, so we want to get rid of those colors, like right here, text gray, text gray 700 right here, and right here, here. Just get rid of all those so that the text white drops down to these as well. All right, so we'll save that. Looks like I missed the full name here. Okay, good. Now down here, the footer, I'm gonna basically just keep this, except I want to get rid of these, and I want these to be orange, these icons, and we'll change up the copyright. So let's go down to the footer. And we'll just give this, we'll just say footer, obviously. And then let's find those unordered lists, because I want to get rid of those. These are the icons. Let's see, so useful links. Actually, we'll probably get rid of this whole div. Yeah, because these are all like the unordered lists. So right here, let's go, and this is 513. Let's go up to where I put that breakpoint. Where is it? Right here. Get rid of that. Okay, so let's take a look. Yeah, so that got rid of those. And then over here, this let's keep in touch part, I'm just going to say follow us on social media. And I just want to change the colors of these. So right on the I class, or the I tag here, let's do bg-orange 500. We're going to do that for all of these. So there and here, instead of, we'll just do LinkedIn here instead of dribble. And yeah, so we'll do that. And then there's also, wait a minute, GitHub. Okay, so that's that button. All right, so we'll get rid of this last one. We'll just have 3. And this will be LinkedIn. So let's check that out. And these actually should be text, not BG. So we want that to be text, text. And where's the other one? Right here. Text. All right, cool. Now the copyright, we can change that. So we'll just say copyright the Power Room. And be sure to check out Creative Tim's website. And down here is just a script to toggle the responsive hamburger menu. But I think that looks good. Now let's check smaller screens. So when we hit like really small, these will start to stack. Okay, so everything should be centered. This, I want to add some spacing here. Also at the top, notice how this text part here isn't directly in the center, and I believe that's because of a certain padding right. So let's go back up to where we have our hero, which is right here, and where is it? Right here. So this div that surrounds this text with this padding right 12, we're gonna just get rid of that. Okay, so save that, and now that text is in the middle. So also the contact, the spacing down here where the contact is, I want to fix that. So that's gonna be, let's go down to where our contact header is. This is why it's good to add these comments so you know exactly where everything is. So where we have the container for the header area, so large padding top 24, large padding bottom 64. That's why it looks okay on large screens. But let's add here a padding bottom dash 20. Oops, we want to be within quotes. Padding bottom 20, and let's do padding top dash 20. All right, so that looks much better. It still looks good on large screens as well. All right, so I think that we're ready to add our animation. So for animation, we're going to be using animation on scroll, which is probably my favorite library for doing stuff like this. It's really easy to implement. It's very lightweight. So we have like fade up, fade down. There's all types, fade right. And then if we go down some more, there's flips, there's zooms. There's all types of different effects you can have. Now to implement this, I'm just going to go to cdnjs.com and just grab the CDN. So I'll search for AOS, and we want both the CSS and the JS. I'm going to copy the CSS tag, and I'm going to put that right above where we bring in the compiled Tailwind CSS file, and then copy the JS tag, and we're going to put that down at the bottom, so right under the script here. And then we need to initialize this, so we're going to add our own script tags, and we now have access to that AOS object, and we just want to pass in to init an object, and we can basically pass in some options here. And on the GitHub page in the documentation, you can look at all the options, but I just want to set a delay of 200 milliseconds, just a slight delay. The duration, so you can make it as fast as slow as you want. I'm going to do 1200 milliseconds. And then once, I don't want it to run once, meaning that if you scroll down and you scroll back up and you go back down, the animation will run again. If you only want it to run once when you land on the page, then you would set this to true. So now that that's initialized, we can just simply add the data-AOS attribute to whatever we want to animate. So the first thing, going up to the top here, let's go to the hero, which is right here, and I'm going to add this onto the, where is it? So down here, I want to go to the container, and I'm going to add an attribute of data-AOS, and we're going to set that to the type of animation we want, which is going to be just a fade in. Okay, so if I save that and we go back, and I reload, you should see that just fades in 1200 milliseconds. Now down here, I want to have these fade in to the right and to the left, these two elements here. So let's go down to our About section, and we have the image. This is, so basically we have a flex wrapper here that has this div with the image and this div with the text. This div with the image, I'm going to add data-AOS, and we're going to set this one to, let's say, fade in right. So this, I know it's on the left side, but it's going to fade to the right. It's going to come in, to the right. And then this div, which is the next flex item. So this is the first one. This is the second one. With the text, I'm going to add data-AOS, and we want to set this one to fade in left because it's going to come in left. All right, so now let's go up top here, and you can see this is completely black, but as I scroll down, oh, it's not fade in, it's just fade. So fade dash left, and what's the other one? Where the hell's the other one? Fade right. There we go. And it'll keep doing it because of that false. I set once, I set to false. If you set it to true, it should only happen once. So it's up to you on how you want that to happen. Now these, I want these to use the flip animation. So let's go down to where the trainers are. So here, trainer section, and we have our card one here. So I'm going to add data AOS, and we're going to set this to just flip right. So you can choose which way you want it to flip. So that's flip right. I'm going to set them all to flip right. This one, data AOS to flip right. And the last one here, Ronald McDonald, we want him data OS flip right. Okay, let's check it out. There we go. So when we come down to it, we have that flip effect. And then the last animation is going to be on this form. I want it to come up from the right. So let's go down to the form, not the header, but where the form is. And we're going to want to put this on, I believe, this div right here. So let's add data AOS, and we're going to set this one to fade. I think it's fade upright. Let's try that. Yep, there we go. So as we come down, the form comes in at a diagonal angle. All right, cool. So that's it. I mean, I know that this is, you know, we didn't build this from scratch, but this Tailwind Starter Kit is pretty useful. And again, you can use it for Angular, React, and Vue. And it's just something to start with. You could change this up to look like a completely different website, you know, implement different menus and stuff, but it's just a starting point. And again, I think it's good for like freelancers and people that need to get stuff up out and quick. And also, if you're not that great with CSS, you can just change around some of the Tailwind classes. Tailwind in general is good for that. But that's it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this little project. The link will be in the description. And that's it. I'll see you next time.